What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today I am talking about the latest offering from Necrofier, Transcend into Oblivion. This also came out on February 27th, this time on Metal Blade Records, and this is the band's third studio full-length overall. I actually remembered checking this band's last album out back in 2023, Burning Shadows in the Southern Night, on an episode of Under the Radar, and that was back when the band was on Season of Mist. Now they've moved up a little bit in the leagues, up to Metal Blade, so kudos to Brian Slagle for picking this band up. So for those who don't know, this is a Texas-based black metal slash melodic death metal band, more so on the black metal side of things. Like, their sound is definitely comparable to a lot of Swedish bands, namely like Dissection, Sacramentum, Dawn, even the German band Thulkandra. Like, there's excuse me, hiccups, what can I tell you? Definitely a lot of that, like, European melodeath, black metal hybrid going on, but again, more towards black metal. And yeah, like I said, I checked out that last album, and I thought it was pretty good. So when I saw this band had a new album coming out and saw that they were on Metal Blade, I was like, I'm curious to give this one a listen. And, well, yeah, this one's a bit of a bold album for this band, because this album is nearly an hour long, and they're going for perhaps, I think, a concept, like, or at least a thematic album, because 9 of the tracks are all in parts of 3 songs. So kicking things off, we have the first of those 3-part tracks, Fire of the Apocalypse, Light My Path. So yeah, so like I said, there are going to be 9 tracks that are in parts, in 3 parts, or should I say 3 songs in 3 parts, so that's 9 tracks total. Getting my math wrong, I know. But anyways, part 1 of the opener starts off with this almost like 80s metal melody with a cool drum groove, and then you get into like a big double time stop, but with cold tremolo melodies, and it's very much like classic black metal, although there's even some like cool like rocking moments, and then it goes into like triplet form, atonal melodies galore, and hell, there are points on this song where it almost feels like Immortal and Dissection combined into one part. But it does get groovy. Like, hell, I will go ahead and say groove is a big part of this album to kind of break up the classic tremolo blast beat style of black metal. There's some groove going on here, whether it be in like a death metal sense or in like a classic Dark Throne sense. But it was very haunting for sure, and then it leads into part 2 where it just goes absolutely batshit. Like, absolutely batshit with the blast beats, haunting tremolo melodies that feel almost straight up like mayhem. There's even, I want to say there's some like female wailing going on here and there on the track, but it's kind of hard to really gauge. It could have been like effects, I don't know. But there's even some like tribal drums going on, and tribal drums show up quite a few times on this album, and I'll point them out when I get to them. But the second part of this opener definitely felt a lot more eerie. And then part 3, it gets almost brutal at times, like almost like blackened death metal. Like the tremolos and the blasts definitely have like a blackened death metal vibe, kind of like Behemoth, Belphegor, Hate, those kind of bands. It even gallops pretty nicely and brings back more of the groove. And then you get into the second track that has 3 parts, Servants of Darkness Guide My Way. Part 1, heavy tremolo that feels more towards death metal. Like, the song itself almost feels a little bit closer to like death metal or melodic death metal, because there's some triplet chugs and of course more groove. Part 2 of the song brings out more of the black metal, but also a little bit more melodic death metal touches, even some thrashy beats. Hell, there's even a brief moment where it gets doomy. Like, it gets doomy on top of the lead, which there weren't very many leads on this album. I only counted 2 lead sections, and both of them were pretty tasty. It was done more for atmosphere rather than showcasing, like, fretboard gymnastics and all that stuff. But there's even like an acoustic melody and chants at the end, which ties directly into part 3, where you get this dark acoustic melody with a lead melody on top, and it's, again, a little bit on the doomier side, and actually the song itself is a lot slower than everything else thus far, and there's even like slower blast beats and tremolos, even some synth passages to, again, kind of add a lot more of a darker atmosphere. And then the third track that's in 3 parts, Horns of Destruction Lift My Blade, part 1, almost feels like a callback to part 1 of Fire of the Apocalypse Light My Path, where it's a little bit more 80s metal inspired with the rhythms, the riffs. It even gets a little bit thrashy. But of course, when the groove comes in, you get like almost death metal tremolo on top, and the only other lead that shows up. Part 2, there's some chants, there's some double time, there's some machine gun riffs, and then part 3, you know, you get this atonal riff with tribal drums, and there's even some dissonance before it goes back into double time, but then you get harmonies, like evil harmonies, which sound awesome, and some triplet chugs, blast, tremolo, and even a piano to bring the song to a close. So, now the other 3 tracks listed on the album were more interludes or outros, like Behold, The Birth of Ascension. It's mostly piano and chants. Mystical Creation of Enlightenment's mostly acoustic, like dark, suspenseful acoustic play. And then Toward the Necrofier, the closer, mostly like tribal drums and dissonant melodies, and that was it. So, now to the issues I had with this album. So, the interludes and the outro, I can get why they're there if this is a concept album, but I feel like parts of those could have been done as like outros for the third part of the other songs that lead into the next tracks, or like the next 3-part epic. Or in the case of Towards the Necrofier, they could have just added some aspect of that to the end of part 3 of Horns of Destruction Lift My Blade, instead of just being individual tracks. But, and then as far as like the weaker tracks, like honestly, part 2 of Horns of Destruction Lift My Blade just kind of felt a little bit listless. And then part 3 of that song didn't really capture my attention at first. It definitely picked up towards the middle of the song, and then all the way throughout to the end, it really picked up. But they were just like little peaks and valleys on a couple of these tracks. But the biggest issue I had with this album is the mix. Like overall, the production, it's raw, but the mix, the drums are way too out front. Like the drums overpower everything on here. It can be kind of hard to tell the guitars a little bit, and also I can barely, if at all, hear the bass. So I feel like the mix could have been better. If they could have gotten the mix even, I would have given this a bit of a higher score, but songwriting wise, music wise, this was really, really good. So overall, I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5. It's a pretty good album, just needs some tweaking done, primarily to the mix. If the mix would have been great, I would have given this a 4. But the mix kind of drags it down a little. But overall, this is still a good album, all things considered. If you are a fan of like Immortal, Mayhem, Dissection, Sacramentum, Thulcandra, and even like Behemoth and Belphegor, I say check this out. This is some solid material. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.